Millions of retirees are leaving America and Britain for good. Not because they hate home, because home has become too expensive to grow old in. The real shock comes later, when many realize they could not afford to return even if they wanted to. The house is gone. Healthcare is complicated. Friends have moved on, and the country they left has become even more expensive without them. This is why retirees are leaving America and Britain. And why, for many, going home stops being realistic. In America, even an average Social Security retirement benefit of around $2,000 a month can disappear fast once rent, insurance, prescriptions, property taxes, and groceries are added. In Britain, even the full new state pension is only around £12,500 a year, before council tax, energy bills, food, transport, and private help for anything the NHS cannot handle quickly. This is not a political argument. This is math. When a retired couple in Arizona is spending 3/4 of their income on housing and healthcare alone, something is broken. When a retired widow in Manchester has to choose between heating the house and eating properly in January, something has failed. These are not edge cases. These are millions of people. And so they start looking elsewhere. But leaving is only half the story. The real twist is that after a few years abroad, many retirees discover the return path has quietly disappeared behind them. They start Googling. They start watching videos exactly like this one. They start searching for the phrase that has become a lifeline for an entire generation: retire abroad. Before the trap appears, the move can feel like the best decision they ever made. Consider what a retired American couple finds when they land in Mexico. A 2-bedroom apartment in a walkable colonial town like San Miguel de Allende or Merida costs $600 a month. A full meal at a local restaurant runs $4. Private healthcare, real healthcare, with short wait times and English-speaking doctors, costs a fraction of what it does back in Texas or Florida. The weather is warm. The culture is rich. There are expat communities everywhere with book clubs, hiking groups, volunteer organizations, and people who understand exactly why you left. Or consider Portugal. Retirees from both America and Britain have been flooding into Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve coast for years. The cost of living is dramatically lower than London or New York. The food is extraordinary. The healthcare system is ranked among the best in Europe. There are trams and trains and cobblestone streets and a pace of life that feels like it was designed specifically for people who spent 40 years in an office and finally want to breathe. Spain offers something similar. So does Thailand, where the tropical climate and astonishing affordability have attracted tens of thousands of Western retirees. Malaysia has a dedicated long-term visa program that was practically built for this demographic. Cyprus and Malta offer warm Mediterranean living with English widely spoken and European Union healthcare infrastructure. For many people, the move is transformative. Blood pressure drops, medication gets cut in half. Mornings start with coffee on a terrace overlooking the sea instead of staring at a stack of medical bills on the kitchen counter. Loneliness, which is an epidemic among retirees in both America and Britain, gets replaced by genuine community. Neighbors who check in, local shop owners who learn your name, a sense of belonging that ironically feels stronger 10,000 miles from where you were born. For retirees testing life abroad, Saily eSIM is useful for landing with mobile data, already active, instead of relying on roaming charges. Link below. But the first thing that changes is not the money. It is the connection to home. The first year abroad is usually euphoric. The second year is comfortable. The third year is where cracks start forming. Not in the new country, in the connection to the old one. Friends back home stop calling as often. At first, it is just less frequent texts, then missed birthdays, then a realization during the holidays that the group chat has moved on and nobody thought to update you. Grandchildren who were toddlers when you left are now in school and barely remember visiting your old house. Your old house that was sold 3 years ago to fund this new life. The neighborhood where you lived for 30 years has changed. New families moved in. The corner shop closed. The church you attended consolidated with another parish across town. The doctor retired. The pub got turned into a boutique hotel. Everything that made it home was never the buildings. It was the people. And the people moved on. This is not bitterness. This is time doing what time does. Then comes the harder realization. Even if they wanted to return, the numbers may no longer work. Because while you were building a new life, in the Algarve, or Chiang Mai, or on the coast of Oaxaca, the cost of existing back in America or Britain kept rising. That 3-bedroom house you sold for $250,000 4 years ago now lists for $400,000. The flat in London you left behind has appreciated so far beyond reach that even the deposit would wipe out your savings. Rents in both countries have surged. You could not afford to move back into the same standard of living you left, not even close. And the longer they stay abroad, the more complicated the paperwork becomes. American retirees living abroad still have to file US taxes every single year, regardless of where they live. The United States is one of only 2 countries on Earth that taxes its citizens on worldwide income no matter what. So that pension income, that rental income from a small property overseas, that interest from a foreign bank account, all of it has to be reported. Failing to file can result in penalties, and the forms are complex enough to require a specialist accountant. Medicare, the healthcare safety net that most American retirees depend on, generally does not cover treatment received outside the United States. So a retiree in Mexico who has been paying into Medicare their entire working life may find that it offers 0 coverage where they actually live. And if they let their enrollment lapse while abroad, re-enrolling later comes with penalties and gaps that can last years. Banking becomes a headache too. Many American banks are reluctant to maintain accounts for citizens living overseas due to compliance regulations. Some close accounts outright. Moving money between countries, dealing with currency conversion fees, maintaining financial access in 2 systems simultaneously. It all creates friction that builds up over time. For British retirees, the complications are different, but equally real. The S1 form, which allows UK pensioners to access healthcare in certain European countries, only works under specific conditions, and only in countries with the right agreements in place. After Brexit, some of those agreements shifted and caused confusion and gaps in coverage. British pensions paid abroad can also be frozen in certain countries, meaning the annual increases that retirees in Britain receive do not apply. A British pensioner in Canada or Australia, for example, might receive the same pension amount they got the day they left, with no adjustment for inflation for the rest of their life. Currency fluctuations add another layer of risk. A retiree who moved to Spain when the pound was strong against the euro might find their monthly income effectively cut by 10 or 15% after a sudden currency swing. These are not theoretical problems. These are Tuesday morning realities. Visa rules change too. Countries that were once welcoming to retirees tighten requirements. Thailand has altered its retirement visa rules multiple times. Portugal adjusted its golden visa program. Malaysia paused and restructured its long-term residency scheme. A retiree who built an entire life around a specific visa category can wake up to find the rules have shifted underneath them. And then there are the healthcare scares. A fall? A diagnosis? A hospital stay in a country where the language barrier suddenly feels enormous, and the family is an ocean away. These moments bring a visceral urge to go home. But home now means a country where you no longer have a house, where your healthcare coverage has gaps, where renting an apartment at current market rates would consume your entire pension, and where your social network has quietly dissolved. They are not legally trapped. Nobody is holding their passport. But practically, financially, emotionally, and medically, the return path has become so steep that most people look at it and decide staying abroad is the only option that makes sense. And yet, even after all of that, most do not come back, because the alternative is still worse. The math still works in their favor. A retired couple in the Algarve spending $1,400 a month on everything: rent, food, healthcare, transportation, entertainment, is living a fuller life than they could on 3 times that budget in most American or British cities. The stress is lower. The weather is better. The streets are safer. The food is fresher. The community is tighter. There is a dignity in being able to afford your own life, in not having to choose between medication and groceries, in walking to a cafe in the morning without calculating whether you can afford the coffee. For millions of retirees, that dignity only exists outside the countries where they spent their entire working lives. For deeper residency and visa breakdowns by country, Horizon Insider is linked below. Many retirees abroad describe a strange emotional math. They miss home. They miss autumn leaves in New England. They miss Sunday roasts in the countryside. They miss the small details that used to make home feel permanent, but they do not miss the anxiety. They do not miss the bills. They do not miss the feeling of shrinking, of becoming invisible, of being a burden in a system that has quietly decided they are too expensive to care for. The move was never about abandoning home. It was about surviving. And this is what it says about America and Britain. Retirees are not leaving because they stopped loving home. They are leaving because home stopped adding up. The pension was not enough. The healthcare was too slow or too expensive. The house became impossible to maintain. The bills kept rising. And the promise they were sold, work hard, save what you can, and retirement will be comfortable, quietly disappeared. So they left. Not for luxury, for breathing room. And after a few years abroad, many realized the old version of home no longer exists. The house is gone, the costs are higher, the friendships are different. The healthcare system is harder to re-enter. The door back is not locked, but it is narrower than they expected. So, would you ever retire abroad if it meant home might never feel the same again? Drop your answer in the comments.